Forever Dog.
Hello, Forever Dog listeners. I'm Allison Raskin.
And I'm Gabby Dunn.
And we host the podcast Just Between Us, which is available right here, right now on Forever Dog.
Just Between Us is a variety show that features listener questions, in-depth interviews, and topical topics.
We also play a game show called Hypotheticals. I could try to explain it to you, but the rules keep changing. I make the rules.
And I always lose. We're also joined each week by incredible guests, including disability activist Alice Wong, Planned Parenthood's Alexis McGill-Johnson, best-selling author and therapist Lori Gottlieb, and primatologist Kate Gilmore.
New episodes of Just Between Us drop every Wednesday. So while you're listening to this podcast, search for Just Between Us with Allison Raskin and Gabby Dunn. Hit that subscribe button and check us out.
Please.
Please.
Just between us.
This may come as a surprise, but my family is ready to get out of the house. So I did a search on the Vrbo app. They've got vacation homes anywhere your family wants to go. We found the perfect beach house that was just a drive away. It has an outdoor kitchen, a pool, and a game room for the kids, so we can really unwind and relax. Check out the Vrbo app for whatever kind of vacation your family needs. That's Vrbo, VRBO.com. Your together awaits.
Forever Dog.
Oh, we're going up to Elsa's Ice Palace to argue about a slow-moving boat ride. With you, and you, and you, and Carlye Wisel. Strap in. It's Frozen Ever After on Podcast The Ride.
Welcome to Podcast The Ride, the theme park podcast hosted by three guys who used to ride the Frozen ride, but now pray the Zoom screen doesn't get frozen. My name is Mike Carlson. Joining me, as always, Scott Gairdner.
You said make funny if we didn't like it, but I liked it. So,
all right, well, thank you.
Yeah, thumbs up from me.
Jason Sheridan here. Do you like it?
I feel like I'd be getting twice as much grief as you are going to get if I came out with that shit.
Well, give it to me. Come on. You want it? It's built it forever. Let me have it.
It does sound a little like like a youth pastor or something.
Yeah.
Like,
come on, let me have it.
Like, you know,
call me a youth pastor.
Millennials are always on their iPhones, but what they should be saying is, "I accept Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior." That sort of.
You're right.
Cumbersome.
You're right. That is okay. I have been owned. I think. I think Jason just owned me.
Just saying, you're bringing that youth pastor energy to a podcast, and I think that's a compliment because he's saying that you're youthful. You have a youthful appeal.
Anything with youth in the word to describe me, I don't care. It could be like youthful killer, I guess. And I'd be like, well, thank you for calling me young.
Convicted youth counselor Mike Carlson. That'd be well,
thank you very much. I very much appreciate it. I've ignored the rest of the sentence.
The Youth Center Strangler.
Oh, thank you for the nickname. I appreciate it.
I did work at the Youth Center.
I do. Ooh, I do look young, right? So that's how I'm doing. Let's bring our guest in, right? She wants to get in on the fun, and I want to know if she liked that joke.
I loved the joke. I'm just going to usurp any introduction just to let everyone know before they knew who I am that I love the joke.
Well, thank you. That is, of course, the voice of podcast host, theme park journalist, foamfluencer, Carlye Wisel. She's here. She's back. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, those titles are maybe why my college has never invited me back to speak. But either way, I stand behind it. Hello, thank you for having me on.
Doesn't look impressive on a poster.
Yeah. I want to be invited back to my college, but I want like the red carpet rolled out. So I'm holding out, I think.
I think I got like a crumb. I think the trail has begun. Because they had me write a welcome letter for freshmen. So I'm just putting it out there. Like, fly me in once that's a normal thing to do, and I'll go to Southern Illinois and stand outside an experimental crop field and be like, I went here. That's all I want.
I hear that. I never went to Southern. I went to Illinois State, which is like midway. And I went to Western to visit, and I went to U of I to visit.
That's where I went.
Never
U of I.
Southern.
But because it's I'm speaking for those of us who
Oh,
don't.
I
who
see.
Don't know.
I
Yeah,
see.
yeah,
So
yeah,
you went
yeah.
to U of I. Okay. I
Yeah,
saw Wilco at U of I.
I put that show on.
Is that true?
Yes.
Produced?
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah,
I went
that's-
backstage at the Wilco show at U of I.
I probably was the person telling you couldn't because I was in charge of security.
Well, the drummer, Glenn, has one of his students I knew when I was playing in a band with him at the time. We got to go backstage, and I met Jeff Tweedy and Glenn Kochi.
I was
Wow.
it was either me or my best friend who escorted you backstage.
Wow, this
Yeah.
is wild.
Begrudgingly.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is crazy. Yeah. I remember
All right, you
that
got
show
4
very well.
minutes, and then you're out.
Yeah. Wow. It was a good
Huh.
show.
Yeah, it's great.
Wow.
Yeah.
I have photos of it too. So we'll see if you're in the background.
I might have been in there. I mean, green room is really a stretch when you're playing a campus show, but
Right.
I would have been there.
Wow.
I
That blows
know.
my
What if
mind.
we have some weird foreign old version of us being friends?
Well, that's very possible. Obviously, also we said it on the show. Our mothers were friends in high school.
Yes.
So there's
That one. Whoa.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a fair once you hit a certain age, you're like, oh God, everyone knows everyone. You can't just fuck around and make fun of people publicly. Everything comes back to you.
Yeah, no, everyone just should scrub their history every couple weeks, just in case you said something mildly insulting about someone. Just in case.
God.
Well, anyway, we'll catch up about U of I guess, later.
On
I
the
could talk
Chicago
about the Wilco
podcast.
show. I remember they covered Thunderclap Newman in the encore, but we don't need to talk about that on Podcast The Ride. Save that for a different podcast. We're talking Frozen Ever After today, and we're going to get there because I think this is part of the continuity from the podcast, because last time you were on, we talked a little bit about Frozen in the middle of Living with the Land, which is very controversial in general. So I felt like we needed to keep the controversy going with another very controversial episode. But I think we should probably discuss a controversial news story that just emerged from a few days ago. Does anyone want to state what this is? And
We don't get to go to Disneyland anymore. That's what's happening. There, I said it.
Sure we
I'm
do.
drunk,
We just have to
damn it.
set aside a portion of our Patreon money, actually all of our Patreon money, to
For one visit.
go at the rate we were going. Yeah.
So the annual pass holder program is no more. It's going to be gone for at least a year before they replace it with something.
Oh, I'm just going to let you know straight out of the gate, I'm not making any assumptions.
Yeah.
The point of view that I have is that looking at the language of the statement that Ken Potrock put out, who I believe he's the president of Disneyland Resort, they keep saying the word membership, which scares me. That's not a word that we've included in the bizarro Disney lexicon. So I'm just gonna sit this one out and wait to see what happens, because I get the feeling I'm not even gonna be able to guess what happens.
Interesting. So you're thinking that some type of program emerges that is so mind-boggling, or perhaps Vacation Club-esque, could emerge.
I don't want to be real galaxy brain about it. I haven't been out of my house in a long, long time, so I'm starting to lose it like a weird old recluse celebrity. But regardless, the wording, sunsetting, membership, it all felt like red flags to me. And so I know the general consensus online is it's going to be a flex pass for everybody. But I don't know. That word membership just sticks out to me so strongly that I don't know what it could mean.
That's
It's
interesting.
what they use that word for
Sunsetting-
country clubs, which are expensive.
Bingo.
Yeah, or operas.
Operas.
Symphonies, the membership of the symphony, or a place that's going to do a 4-hour production of August Osage County. That's where you get memberships too. Sunsetting is kind of not in the vibe of their usual lexicon of wishes, dreams, enchantment. I kept saying sundowning. God, which I think has more negative connotations, but sunsetting, I was I have heard that used as a term of we're retiring something, but that felt very targeted. It felt like every news story made sure to use the term.
Yeah, it felt like the least upsetting phrase for your whole life as you visited Disneyland has ended for now.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking like it's gonna come back, but what monster will it emerge as? Because we started when I moved to Los Angeles over 10 years ago. I'm still young, but I moved here 10 years ago. It was cheap as hell to go get an annual pass to Disneyland. So they sort of got, and Jason had it then, I'm sure Scott had it then, like they got us used to a lifestyle with their cheap ticket. And then slowly they've increased the price. And because we're suckers, we've been paying it. We've been like foregoing other necessities probably in our lives to make sure we allocate enough for a Disneyland annual pass when it used to be like $200 and you could go 200 days a year. And it did feel like it was breaking because I think they long gamed. I mean, I know they've had it for long, but they long gamed like 1 million people in Southern California and around the area. So it was something that was going to break because so many people had gotten used to popping into Disneyland for 5 hours here and there. But it
like
sucks.
They're testing us, like how much will you pay? Will you do this? Will you do this? And the answer is always yes. And so what are they going to do? How do they clear out these parks that are getting too full? And now that there is a like state government mandated reason to make them less full, now is the time to pull the carpet out.
Yeah. So it does feel like we should brace ourselves if we want to ever have the lifestyle of like 250 days a year going into Disneyland to get, a glass of wine and ride Big Thunder and leave. We probably will have to pay about $15,000 a year. That's a guess that I don't know if it's unreasonable. I really don't.
And I think the other thing that, I considered in the past, and I don't think this has been an option for a while now, but sometimes if my family went down just for like a long weekend and we knew we would come back the next summer, my dad would get like a 7-day park hopper and just keep it in his wallet for a year because for a time, those days never expired. And I think they've stopped selling those kinds of park hoppers on both coasts at this point. But that was an option too, because once you start adding on days, the price per day starts to drop. You buy anything in quantity, the price starts to drop,
So it's, I don't know, prepare for the worst, I think, is really what I'm trying to say.
I understand the reasons that they're doing it, and it'll probably make it a more pleasant experience to be around there when you get to go there. Like, the rationale all totally makes sense to me. But then on the flip side, I'm like, but I want to go. I used to be able to go, and this thing has sucked, and it's never ending. And now when it's over, I don't get to go to Disneyland all the time, or it'll be insanely cost prohibitive.
Yeah, I am feeling that way too. I was thinking, could it be something crazier like you know how the vacation club is some sort of very large amount of money and you like technically own a room in a hotel? Could they be like annexing like pieces of the park now and I technically own like a room on the Haunted Mansion if I pay $50,000 and then I get to go into the park fairly regularly? Is that possible? I think it is.
One way to do it.
I'm definitely in denial over this.
Yeah.
Pretending it's not.
Well, and you were posting about because you have a premiere pass.
I'm gonna
right?
get
so
big time
that's even more complicated. Yeah.
And I'm like just waiting to see what money they give me back because I got a premiere pass like a genius 2 weeks before a pandemic.
Sorry, Premiere is the one that gets you into Disneyland and Disney.
Yeah, this is gonna sound like I'm a living fossil, but it gets you into any Disney park in America any day of the week. And all year round, which like,
jeez,
no
blackouts?
Not a thing anymore. No blackouts at either resort any day of the year.
Okay.
So that's gone.
Oh, I'm seeing here they've just announced that pass now costs $500,000 a year. Oh, yeah. I look, I am happy because I'm not really happy, but I like for the person who comes in for their once a year trip, is it going to be less filled with people like us who are just like roaming and mulling about and like commenting on like, oh, there's some chipped paint up here in New Orleans Square. Like they won't have to see that horribleness. But yes, I still am going to miss commenting on that chipped paint.
This is where I feel maybe unself-aware. I'm like, I see all this stuff grumbling about annual pass holders and how, exactly what you're saying. Like, they're never happy and they come in and don't even spend any money and just clog the place up. But then I'm going like, but that's not me though, right?
No,
I'm not part of the problem. I was saying to Aaron the night that it happened, like, but that's like not like, I think I help the vibe at Disneyland. I'm like the guy who starts the wave at the baseball game. I'm helping with the spirit and the morale. I'm not a drag. I'm not walking around complaining, right? I'm one of the good ones, right?
I can't confidently say that. I'm the one. I bring a backpack, my own reusable water bottle, a bag of Cliff Bars, my own sunscreen. Like I have gone down and not spent any money, besides parking, and then left.
Yeah,
you don't have your wagons. You don't have your wagons of ice and.
They are playing with fire. They already banned the wagons and the massive coolers. So, like the locals are going to want to go when Disneyland opens back up. They're going to have to figure something out. I have to say, it's a shame though, where it's probably helpful that the Flex Pass reservations worked pretty well the year or so I had it. Mm-hmm. And so I'm assuming whatever comes back would probably be something along those lines.
Yeah, I would guess. But yeah, it's a good point that Carlye makes, that membership is an interesting word. And we'll see what that means.
Yeah. Mike, you should do a deep dive. You should research the Vacation Club point system, because that would be right up your alley.
I do know a little bit about it.
You bank a certain amount of points for the size of the room or the number of days you go, and it's there's equations, and it's incredibly complicated.
What makes you say that's up Mike's alley and not Scott's alley?
Huh? Well, Mike famously loves points. I mean, he's got a whole system with the points.
You're saying that I don't want to solve math equations to go to a theme park?
I think I explained like 5 minutes of the Vacation Club to Scott like a year ago, and I think he shouted at me to stop. I don't want to.
That'll be if you ever want to do a Scott-free episode, if you want getting off scot-free, you could call it. Feel free to just do the dry Vacation Club point rundown episode. And then I will step away from it so that I will bear no responsibility for when
our
dullness of the content.
Shoot through the roof, when our numbers explode and the podcast takes over My Favorite Murder as the top podcast in the world. That's what will happen.
We always wanted.
That's what we've always wanted. All right, so Carlye, any last thoughts about this? Any other...
the thing that I'm thinking about now is just that it's, even if things do go slightly back to normal, where you have some sort of pass membership, whatever, where you can visit the parks, it's going to be really hard to coordinate with your friends the way we used to. Because I had friends who had every type of pass, and we were still able to find those pockets where we would all line up and be able to go. And depending on what happens, that's probably not going to be as easy.
Right.
That's something I thought about. That are Scott, Mike, and Jason going to be able to go to the park again? Like the thing that we did all the time that spurred this show? Can we not do it anymore?
I don't know. It's possible. Yeah, it's possible that like one of us will have to win the lottery to get the actual good pass, and then somebody else, like I'll have a pass that just gets me into California Adventure from like noon to 4 on Wednesdays. And I can only go on Soarin' and Grizzly River Rapids, and that's it. And that pass costs $10,000 a year.
There's always Costco tickets.
Tickets, yeah. And we could also just go hard at Knott's. We could just go hard and say, you know what? Disneyland. Knott's is the place we like. now.
Even Universal was sending some shady tweets. So, they're ready for pass holders.
Were they saying, we're considering how our annual pass program is going to work?
They tweeted something that was just like, LOL, love you, our annual pass holders. Just very sassy towards Disney.
Okay. Well, they can win me over. And certainly, I've heard a rumor that, next year is when Nintendo Land might open. And I certainly will want to spend a lot of time in Nintendo Land. So they can certainly win me over. They can get me. I'm gettable by Universal at this point. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. There's a lot of things that still have to play out in our real world logistically to even get to the point where we're talking about what the past system looks like. So
yeah, it is a bit hard to mourn like, oh, I can't hang out with my friends at Disneyland when I haven't truly seen a living soul in like many weeks.
I just hope that Six Flags doesn't follow suit and they get rid of their buy a churro, get an annual pass for free deal. That they don't. They need to keep incentives like that going for me to want to go back to Six Flags. So,
I'm just going to go all in on the Santa Monica Pier. That's my move. I've bought a pass there before. It was like $100. They have a decent coaster. It does the trick. But they're never going to have a membership situation. So why not?
Yeah, we should just all
POP,
scatter.
baby.
Yeah.
We're popping off at POP. This podcast is all about the Santa Monica Pier from now on.
In protest, we're going to get rid of the old Disneyland episodes on our feed and replace them retroactively with Santa Monica Pier episodes. Just out of anger.
All right, we're covering the rotating school bus again. All right, the Coffee Bean. The Coffee Bean 4.
Taco Bell booth.
Taco Bell / KFC, episode 5.
I don't know if this is in your lineup for notes, but I think we do need to discuss that like quiet Disneyland announcement today that they're kind of turning the Rainforest Cafe into a Star Wars store.
Yes,
what? I missed this. This is breaking to me.
Yeah, it was very subdued. It was kind of like, ooh, like we're going to open a spaceport in a former jungle.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, that's right up your alley.
Yeah. Thank God. Thank God they're using the building for something. It's been so creepy every time you walk by it because it's just a husk of something. It's somebody pointed out. It might have been Freddie. It might have been Freddie from Batu. That the building kind of looks like, a base, like a rebel base or a resistance base already. So it maybe if they could actually do something cool with the theming. I don't know if they're going to, but I hope so.
Yeah. Well, there's still dusty vines. There's still dusty rainforest vines, I guess, in there. Seem to be the implication.
Oh, is that so? You think it's all still everything inside has not been taken out?
I think. Well, I would have thought it was taken out, but then when they were like, "It's a reclaimed jungle base," I was like, "Oh, I guess there's maybe some of it still in there, or maybe some of the walls were painted that they can just continue to use, or just do a fresh coat of paint." Or
they
something.
have to sweep out like a knee deep amount of old chicken tender breading. It's just been sitting there for 4 years. They got to fumigate.
Yeah, that's there. What if there's like animatronic animals still there? They can't use those, right? Because those are owned by Tillman Fertitta.
I have to think those are going.
Yeah. I would love for there to be like barely concealed Rainforest Cafe stuff. To me, that would add to the story so much more.
Yes, I agree. I mean,
it would be in keeping with what they've done lately, like the old that's the thing called the Premier store. What is the store that they opened that's like a Spirit Halloween?
The warehouse, the store in the like inside the park.
Who Wants to Be a Millionaire Play It? Yeah. Where the Play It sign is still there.
Yeah. Stage 17, I believe.
Okay.
Yes. Scott's got to tour that.
That was something. Yeah, I described it on the podcast as the single most depressing thing Disney has ever put together. It's the saddest store.
Well, after this episode, I might have to disagree with you on that.
Oh my gosh!
Oh boy!
Wow.
Well, really, that's a preview.
Really hyping this up. They had moved. Correct me if I'm wrong. They moved. What did they like? Got rid of the Wonderground Gallery, right? And they put like Star Wars stuff in there for now.
Yeah, and I think this is a move to be able to bring artwork back.
Okay, that's good. That's basically what was my question because like I like that gallery. That was always a nice, fun little browse.
Yeah, I bought a ton of small things there.
Yeah, you could get postcards, coasters, or like $10,000 paintings of like sexy Cinderella by comic book artist J. Scott Campbell, which is a comic book artist that Jason and I read looked at as
hugely popular in the
still
90s.
Very popular, and he does does princess artwork. Anyway, So that's good that that's coming back, is what I'm saying.
I believe so. I truly glanced at this as I was getting into the car. So
yeah,
I will.
I kind of did the same, but I also saw footage from Downtown Disney today and was a little surprised to see. I guess it is Sunday afternoon as we record. It was crowded. It was packed.
Why? It's nothing to do.
I'm not like, I don't know. I guess I went in somewhere, went to a window and got coffee the other day, but like I couldn't. I don't think I could handle that right now.
Well, there was a 7-hour line for Gideon's Bakery yesterday at Disney Springs. Am I right?
Yeah. I mean,
now this is Carlye news. She knows this.
If I had a beat, it was the chocolate chip cookie beat. I've been obsessed with Gideon's for years since they. So for anyone who doesn't know, Gideon's Bakehouse is this very, very small local Orlando bakery that basically went from, I think it's like a 280 square foot stall at a food hall, like a small, not like a New York City food hall, like a small market food hall. And then now has a flagship at Disney Springs that had full day-long waits on opening day. So it's like a wonderful small business story. But this cookie was sold at the Polite Pig at Disney Springs for $8, which is like a huge upsell. And so people like me who were like, I gotta get this cookie, would drive to the bakery and then drive back. Like I fully drove away from everyone's vacation destination to go buy a cookie. And I'm completely obsessed with it. I usually have at least one in my freezer because I need it. It's like my life source. But it's so good. It's a wonderful story. I'm so for it because it's like a small business and a quality product. And it's run by one guy who never took any investment, which is the opposite of Tillman. So it's real nice that he's just there in the middle of this cluster of all these big brands.
Well, that's nice.
Huh.
And
That's good.
The Disney Springs one is themed like an occult bookstore, which I think is so wild. Like I'm so into that. I am excited by these long lines. This is my number one list. When I get back to Florida, this might be my most anticipated attraction. Is the new Gideon's.
It should be
cookies. Yeah, and they have cake too, and crazy iced coffees on tap.
Coffees and bookshelves that turn in. They spent a year sourcing the antiques for the store.
Wow.
It's just great.
Wow.
What's the foam situation there?
They have no foam, but I'm not going to hold it against them because there's Starbucks like a few steps away, and that Starbucks has fantastic foam.
Sure. So what would be the amount of time? This is for everybody that you would spend because I want to go to this place that looks cool. The food looks, the treats look good. What is the amount of time you would feel comfortable waiting in line to get there?
Okay, so to clarify, the Disney Springs location had a virtual queue. So it's kind of just like you're tied into it. So I would wait probably either 4 hours or 11. Like I would put my name in and then come back at the end of the day. But I've waited in the line because the actual place used to have a line before COVID. I think I waited 45 minutes.
Okay, that's reasonable.
That's fun.
Yeah.
That's fun. I mean,
Mike and I have waited like 2 hours for
hot chicken.
Howlin' Ray's hot chicken. Yeah.
I love waiting in a long line to eat. I don't know why.
What do you think our line waiting tolerance is going to be like after this?
You think it'll be higher or low?
I think mine will be at the ground.
Really?
Just standing around waiting to do something?
I already had Scott. Go ahead.
We've all had to do it for the grocery store, and now we've all had like a lot of. Does that make us more like ready for lines, or I don't know. I mean, I'm in line for the pop figurines on Hollywood Boulevard. Several days.
You paid like. You paid a $5 user. You're technically in line right now. You have to, when this is done, you have to go back.
Yeah. So we're going to have to, are we okay with this episode being about 35 minutes? We're going to have to, it's going to have to be a little shorter than they usually are.
Scott's got to get that Khaleesi pop that has different shoes than the normal pop.
I got to get the double pop of the Duffer Brothers. I need both Duffer Brothers as pop figures. I won't be happy till I have it.
The 2-pack of David Duchovny and Sean William Scott from Evolution. That's a big deal. You can only get them together. You can't get them single.
I have them both from Dude, Where's My Car and from X-Files, but I need them, from the same film and franchise.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I can't really gauge what I think people's tolerance overall, because I have a very high tolerance for waiting in line. And Jason, I think, also has a similar tolerance. Jason and I waited no problem like 5 hours for Guardians of the Galaxy the first time.
Something like that. Kind of a precursor, kind of a prologue to this podcast. We had just started sketching it out at the time. We just started talking about it, I think.
We knew it was taking
time.
forever, but we split a Hulk donut and it was fine. Like one of those giant donuts. So I think people will just be happy to be out of the house, honestly. I think people will just be thrilled to be standing somewhere else close by other humans. I think there'll be like a 6 month grace, 6 month honeymoon period with lines for people.
You'll allow it.
I thought I'd be dancing through the streets, and now the more I think about it and the longer I sit inside, I feel like I'm just going to be permanently panicked about where to pee. Because I've had toilet access right by me for a whole year. And now, if I wait in line for 90 minutes, what am I going to do?
Yeah, that's a good point. I have thought about that because when we drove down to Anaheim and went to grab Portillo's and stuff, I was like, all right, I can't drink any water before. I have to make sure.
Yeah.
'Cause I don't want to stop in. We all read the article about COVID coming up through the toilet. I don't want to get toilet COVID, the worst kind. So there's certainly those things are going to remain, I think, even if you kind of logistically know, okay, it seems like this isn't around. You will still feel an anxiety about a lot of things, I assume. But
just feel like I'm going to have a real out of body moment the first time I see a family playing that heads up game. That Ellen iPhone game. I'm just going to be like, what are the last 2 years real?
Yeah, well, that's... yeah, I was imagining... Honestly, we were doing the episode. I went back and listened to our last episode just to make sure I remembered what everyone said. And I was remembering people just being in this apartment. And I was like, it feels like it happened 2 weeks ago. So our brains are going to block out. It's really going to be bizarre when we come on the other side of it, because it'll feel like your brain will just be like, nope, didn't happen. Go on. And you'd be like, but I thought, it'll be a movie where somebody has thoughts that they don't know what they mean. And you'll be like, but I swear we were inside for 18 months. And you'll be like, I don't know what you're talking about. Brian, get a hold of yourself.
Forcibly eternal sunshine ourselves. We'll do the best we can to just... Yeah. I mean, it helps that it's all been incredibly forgettable. So there'll be some natural forgetfulness about all of this. But yeah, it's... simultaneously... Yeah, it'll have felt like a week and a year and a half or whatever the hell.
There's no...
yeah, my memory is just totally shot. Jane and I were rewatched the last two because Riverdale comes back this week, and Jane and I watched the last 2 episodes of season 4, and I was like, "Oh my god, I forgot all of this. I forgot all of this stuff happened." We spent the first 2 weeks of quarantining just binging Riverdale, and I was like, "Do you remember that? Do you remember when we did that?" I forgot. I mean, it's also a show where it's oh, I forgot about the Tickle Club. I forgot about the Tickle where there were rival Tickle video sites.
What?
Yeah, it's that. I mean, this is after the cult and after the inset. It's it goes a lot of places.
Real quick, because we got to start on the actual ride. But what is a Tickle Club?
Yeah. Well, that movie, that documentary Tickled, about the guy who would make the Tickle websites, and he was a real nut job. They incorporated that into a season of Riverdale.
Oh, I didn't know this was a Riverdale. I thought you shifted focus to an entirely other world. I didn't know there was tickling in Riverdale world.
Scott, you thought he was talking about his own life, and he said, after the incest, after the...
Well, the Tickle Club, obviously the Tickle Club, live comedy shut down pretty quickly, theme parks, Tickle Clubs, they were number 3.
Newsom keeps issuing new Tickle Clubs must be at 40% capacity.
Commandant Oldsome canceled the Tickle Club.
No, we found out he was at a Tickle Club last week.
The fanciest Tickle Club.
Yeah, that son of a bitch. Getting tickled when we can't. Unbelievable.
This is you're just describing the Bohemian Grove. How is the Bohemian Grove complex fared during all of this?
Good question. All right,
we got to get into it.
Yeah, we have
Mike,
to.
you just re-listened. So you just re-listened to Living with the Land, and I'm glad that you did because I'm not going to. I don't want to go back to the scene of the crime. I have never felt so audience despised as when I said my thoughts about Living with the Land. I was worried that there would be some kind of podcast 25th Amendment invoked by the audience, and that encouraging Mike and Jason to replace me with Carlye. That was my fear in the days following that.
I feel like the energy would quickly shift very negative if I was just given a platform to yell along with people. Oh boy.
I will say Nancy Pelosi urged Jason and I to replace Scott. But right now we don't feel it's the appropriate thing because we want to sow unity.
We need to unite
and we don't want to get.
And what else is Scott going to do,
we don't want to get Scott's followers riled up is what we're saying. Scott has a certain core audience that we just don't want to upset right now. So
Essanon.
They love going to Catal restaurants. That's their icon.
Well, that's where Scott does his S drops from. That's where the new S drop.
Yeah, it's where. Yeah, I kind of give the messages to the S shaman. Who will store in various places with a giant wine glass on a staff.
They were all no launch queens, but then they were a little confused though when you actually went on a launch coaster. So,
what does it mean? The message changed.
Yeah.
What's the mission now?
He's betrayed us. Clone. He's clone.
They do some retconning to explain some of your character development and your choices.
They'll work it out.
Yeah.
But so, yes, when we discussed Living with the Land, the slow-moving Epcot boat ride, as opposed to the one we're talking about today, there was a little bit of compare-contrast going on with Frozen Ever After. And I remember some of the points, but maybe not all. But I was surprised to hear the negative feelings about Frozen Ever After, and to see it like painted as sort of somehow like an antithesis to Living with the Land. I'm not sure if that's exactly how you feel, if one is the opposite of the other. Here, I don't want to go putting your opinions into your mouth. I'm just trying to remember some of what happened long ago in January. But Frozen Ever After, Carlye, thoughts? Feel free to take it away.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, my brain is so mush now that I didn't realize they were both boat rides until a minute ago. And you said it, and I was like, "Oh, they are both boat rides." So I have not thought of them in any like linear way, I suppose. But Frozen, I have some issues with it. I have some praise for it. I will say from the get-go, you're not going to hear any Maelstrom discussion from me because I have no attachment to it. I came in fresh, just all Frozen. So a lot of times people's Maelstrom love colors their perception of Frozen Ever After, but not me.
This is true, and I was wondering that with myself, because I will say I'm a person with very strong Maelstrom love. Very much, I tell that to Essanon. Be sure to pay proper homage to the Maelstrom, to the three-headed troll will return. Yeah, loved Maelstrom, and you could tell when the announcement was made that they were going to shift it to Frozen. There was going to be that was big trouble for Disney theme park nerds. They were messing with a big one. I feel like that's people are fond of it for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna put my marker down on this. This is my you motherfuckers. I can't believe you took that away. And I know it was. Yeah, I know it's weird, and I know it was odd. And that's why I loved it. Yeah. That's why I loved Maelstrom.
Me too.
My whole family loved it. I don't say that's a lot, that I'm putting my marker down on. I was not happy. I thought they did it in a really Like they announced it in September, I think, of 2014. Yeah, and then by October 2014, Maelstrom was closed.
Jeez, nobody got to say goodbye.
I mean, I think the Mr. Toad to Pooh was probably worse in the 90s, but at least you can find Mr. Toad other places. Maelstrom was one of a kind.
Yeah, I can't pretend. Yeah, here we are. Now, Carlye, what you just said. Now we're letting it color the discussion, but I think it is important context.
I'm all for it coloring the discussion. I just personally, I won't be bringing that energy, but we got one already, so we're good.
Yeah, sure. No, it's me. I think it obviously, like, I'll come out and like it goes against the original Epcot theory of like, all right, no characters in this part. We're gonna do different stuff. And then, like, okay, we cut the different thing. We cut the interesting, unique ride, and we're shoving in some characters in here. And then also, I was surprised this was addressed so directly, because I was like, that's kind of weird. You switch from, like, a country's history and heritage to, like, this fictional world. And at the time, Tom Staggs, who was the, I believe, the chief operating officer, and then the... Yeah, chief operator. Yeah, COO. He was asked, is that appropriate for World Showcase? And said, if the goal is to give people a taste of something like Scandinavia with the Norway Pavilion, then Frozen would only increase the extent to which people would be drawn to it. To me, it doesn't seem out of character at all. And I'm like, I don't know if that's right. Like, if you were like, Morocco is now Agrabah, I think everyone would be like, whoa, what the hell, man?
Maybe. Yeah, here's just the very Cliff Notes thing, is that this is an attraction in World Showcase in Epcot. Every pavilion in that area represents a different country. This is the Norway Pavilion that we're talking about. There is a boat ride that is the centerpiece of the Norway Pavilion. For a long time, it was the Maelstrom, which was this crazy adventure with trolls and warriors and inexplicable oil barracks shooting fire that I'm very fond of. And yes, they switched it out to be about Frozen. Frozen is not set in Norway. If you haven't seen Frozen, Frozen is set in Arendelle, correct?
Arendelle, yes.
Yeah, it's a straight. There's a vibe to the film that is like, it can hold hands with Norway and with the vibe of the pavilion that was there already and with the exterior. But it's a little odd. It is definitely not a movie set in Norway.
They're both snowy places, which I guess is maybe the justification. I mean, obviously the justification is put the movie stuff in because people are going to come and want to go on a movie ride. And they like, I guess Ratatouille works better because that actually happened in France. But still, yes, it was Jason was saying, it's away from the original Epcot. But this is...
Are we sure? Wait. Are we sure that Arendelle's not in Norway?
Isn't Arendelle made up?
Because...
I think it's made up.
I mean, you can make up a city.
I mean, because all I'm thinking of is like all the stuff I've written about when they reopened that, and they reopened like the Royal Summer House, which I think is what they call the meet and greet. That like they went on like trips to Norway to source inspiration, and I'm kind of like, if they sourced it directly from Norway and it inspires also and matches what the film is, then is Arendelle.
Well, it says I'm seeing it says it's Norwegian inspired.
Okay.
Arendelle. So
and there's a town called Arendal apparently.
Okay.
So
it's
close.
So it's
close to. That's
it's
interesting.
Close.
Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that justifies it a little better, I would say.
Yeah, I think so. But yes, it's going to be hard for Maelstrom not to come into this conversation. But we've been doing a few Epcot things recently, classic Epcot stuff. And Epcot is not this anymore. We have to let it go. I didn't mean to say it. I swear to God. I'm so sorry.
Fuck off.
I'm so sorry. Let me have it, Jason. Come on. No, I
youth pastor.
I'm a cool, youthful youth pastor. But like that's like the deal is like it's just going to be movies and TV now at Epcot. And I don't love it. It's not my choice. I wish all these rides were like original. I wish they can replace Universe of Energy with a roller coaster. I just wish it was some original nonsense scary IP that children would be terrified of and it would confuse people. That's what I would prefer than Guardians of the Galaxy. but that's not the world we're living in. So I'm trying to just judge Frozen based on like, this is the reality. How good of a job did they do? And I think they did a great job. I honestly, this is one of my favorite.
There we have it.
Favorite new rides. I love Guardians. I love this, and I don't love every new thing. I even think there's some aspects of this I like more than Rise of the Resistance. I'll be honest with everyone here. I'll lay it out real hard there.
Oh, that's pretty.
Yeah.
That's
How
pretty
about
nuts.
that? How about that as a take?
Why is my name being associated with this episode?
We think you don't think that because this came up before. Before we get into it, I'm on Team Mike, and I'm so glad I'm not going it alone here. I really like it. I think we were surprised to hear the counterpoint when it came up within Living with the Land. So but I think you got some support in Jason, seemingly. I'm not sure.
I think it's 2 and 2 today. I think
Jason,
that's the
Jason,
intent.
are you going to get ready one of your famous catchphrases about disagreeing with me?
Any different points that are counter to other points?
I just...
You're not...
I think
Are you not riled up enough to yell at me today? Come on.
I'm a little asleep. I've been drinking strong black tea to try and
get angrier,
gas myself up a little, get angrier,
counterpointier.
No, I just think it continues the tradition of inserting characters into Epcot in a way that is kind of cheap, like the Seas with Nemo and Friends, like that little Lion King environmental movie.
Oh, but that's a movie. That's like let's have the TV studio crank out a thing. I think this is a more successful, grander thing.
But that was the first. That was the first app. Yeah, it's more successful than that. But that was the very first. Like, all right, let's get the movie characters into Epcot.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's cited as the first. So I think it doesn't. I think a lot of stuff in this ride doesn't make sense with their own concept of the storyline of the ride. Doesn't make sense. Of like hey everyone, it's a festival celebrating the anniversary of like the events of the movie.
Summer festival.
And
yes.
when we say yes, it's a summer festival that takes place at the dark of night, 3:00 in the morning. It's pitch black out. When we say festival, there's no one there's 2 princesses, there's a hunky dumb guy, and there's this nasty little creep snowman hanging out. And that's kind of it. There's not really any villagers around, and they just kind of stand around. There's something called snow geese. I'm not going to touch that one. That sounds weird to me. It's just strange. It's very much, you can tell, it's just crammed into the track of Maelstrom. It's very short, and it's just like, we're just trying to shove the movie.
It feels short to me. I don't think it feels short to me. Yeah. And that would be, then you could just say, then Maelstrom's even shorter, if that's the argument.
Yes, and 5 minutes, saying if you think it's short and it's 5 minutes, which I think is a decent amount of time for a dark ride, I think that speaks to how nicely it moves through. Quite frankly.
Okay, the one thing this ride does not do is move nicely. I think that's pretty proven. I have never not hurt my back at the switch track, so I mean, I'm just gonna start there. That is not a comfortable ride.
Isn't that a Maelstrom problem too? Although I think you do have to pin that one on the bones that are there.
No, because if you're taking the time and the money to redo a ride, and if you don't fix that, that's on you.
Mm-hmm. Sure. That's interesting. That came up last year as well, and I had never really found that. It's obviously very jerky. It's not like, you can tell it's not a new system they installed.
Oh my God.
But it had never, I mean, like, I get much more rattled on Space Mountain in Florida than I do on that boat for whatever reason. So I had actually never noticed.
It's like a bumper car. You're like hitting a wall and then moving and then backing up, and it's like, like it just never stops. It's so uncomfortable.
It's interesting. I mean, that's one of those like accidental thrills that happen on older rides. Like Space Mountain, Florida is rattling you around like you're in the middle of an earthquake. And like Pirates now have bumpers on each side of the boats, at least here, I can't remember in Florida, like where you just smash into other boats which is not part of the ride, but now has become a part of the ride, where you're having bumper cars
now
on the way. So these are like accidental thrills. I guess is there a better way we can phrase what I'm talking about?
Thrills is a little strong.
You said
I don't know if I'm
thrills,
thrilled.
which I think that's so optimistic because for me, I'm like, this is where in 10 years I will injure myself.
Huh.
Yeah.
Like surprise bump, accidental trauma. I don't know. We'll have to workshop this. Carlye, let me get your philosophy. Do you care that Epcot is moving away from its complicated bizarreness to just being characters from
Okay, so I might be on a team of my own, but I feel like for the thing I love to continue to exist, this must happen.
Yeah.
Because I love Epcot, but like you can't run on this stuff for this long when Disney is the company it is. Like, it's just inevitable. And it breaks my heart every single time that it's like everything you know is now changed and gone. But I think it's necessary. And I think that there are good ways of introducing IP. And I think there are bad ways. And with Frozen, I actually think that they deserved their own ride. I don't think it should have been overlaid on this boat ride. I think they should have built an entirely newly constructed attraction. And I'm frankly shocked they did it because, like, there was so much time between the first and second movie anyway. But I just think there should have been more for them at Epcot. Very pro IP.
Okay, good. Okay. Yeah, I think we probably all agree. Our preference would have been different ride, like fresh new ride, not a rethemed.
Yeah. And I will say, though I like Frozen Ever After a lot, I think it is strange the idea that they would clone this. Because the plan, I think, this is going into kind of everywhere. Hong Kong.
Not Hong Kong.
Not Hong Kong? Okay.
Hong Kong, if they have 2 attractions it is, I can't remember, but they have a Matterhorn-style bobsled coaster.
Oh, geez.
Yeah,
well, that's
and
better.
I saw a model of it when I was on an Adventures by Disney trip as like a regular citizen. Like, I was reporting on it, but it was in a group of regular people. And so they showed us this model because people on vacation wouldn't be like trying to memorize every detail. And it's like a full-blown mountain coaster. It looks incredible. And so we could have in some world had that, which would have been amazing.
Yeah. Does sound better. Definitely sounds better. I would say, so where is getting it? Paris, Tokyo, I believe, which I feel like, well, now that you've done the one with the blueprint of the old attraction, now you got some time to actually get it right. Though I like what they did here, I would not say do Frozen Ever After again.
Yeah.
People will be able to get their backs destroyed by the bobsled-esque Matterhorn track as opposed to the aging Frozen Ever After boat
Did you
track.
feel the back thing too, or are you applying that now that Carlye has said it? Were you on that ride last year and like, ow, my back?
The Matterhorn?
No, the Frozen. Did Frozen hurt your back?
I don't remember. I do remember the Switch feeling rougher than it used to. Which might have been because it feels like they walled off. I believe did they wall off? Am I misremembering this? Because you used to be able to see the boat from outside of Maelstrom.
That's correct. Yeah, it is fully
backwards.
indoors now. Yeah.
It's fully indoors. So that was likely maybe some adjustments there to shorten the backing up and the switching. I remember that part being very jarring.
Okay.
Matterhorn is on that list too of accidental trauma or surprise trauma.
Yeah, I mean, that one hurts me, but at least it's worth it. Like, you're like on a thrill ride. It fits the theme. This is like I'm pulling up to a poorly contoured princess singing to me. Like, I shouldn't be in pain right now.
I feel like you were already upset, and then just that was like insult to injury on the Switch.
Yes.
That's sort of what it's more about. Because I've been wrecked on the Matterhorn, depending on what seat and which track. One track is rougher than the other, and I forget which one it is.
You know what's a rough one also? I don't know if you talked about the very end of the Incredicoaster. That like when you skid into the station. I'm not sure why that's so. I wouldn't say that it hurts me, but every time I really have to brace for it. Like that's like more of a thing now to brace for than anything that happens.
I can't
on
believe
the ride
college
proper.
age people are going to listen to this and be like, how old are these old people?
No, there's no college age people listening. Don't worry.
The worst I got when we were in Florida was I went on Test Track, and they started to move the car about like 3 feet forward, and they realized someone's seatbelt wasn't done all the way, and they slammed the brake, and I just got like, it felt like I hit a wall, and I was still like the whole ride going like, oh my God.
Yeah.
We weren't going to start going full speed. Why did they stop that so suddenly?
But then again,
and then that ride has not gotten smoother with time.
that does
I'll say
fit the
that.
theme.
That does fit the theme.
Sudden
yeah.
breaks.
But it was startling to break that hard in the span of like 5
Yeah.
feet.
It's
So we have some upkeep concerns.
Yes. But
Yeah.
I
But
think it is fair.
how'd you feel going into the thing? Were you open to Frozen before going on it the first time?
Well, I think that the best place to start is at the queue, because I'm actually a huge fan of the queue. I think they did a fantastic job. I think that they made a very pleasant indoor space. And unlike some other queues, it doesn't feel long. Like they constructed it with the switchbacks so you don't feel like you're waiting as long as you actually are, which I'm a fan of. I love the Wandering Oaken sauna part. I think that's adorable. I think they killed it in that respect. It's a line
Some
that
streams
I
in
would
there.
maybe not hate to wait in.
Sure,
yeah,
sure.
I like that. Especially, I don't know what you call it. The big area right before you get on the ride where it's like, is that the switch where there's like 8 different rows and you keep going back in and out, and then you go in the little cabin.
Yeah. What's it called? The meeting point?
I should really know this. I apologize to any Meeting Point fans out there.
Are any of us into Frozen? Are any of us particular fans of the franchise?
Mm-mm.
Yeah,
Not
doesn't
really.
seem like it.
I think I saw it around when it came out. Maybe like, I used to go to movies like the last screening at the ArcLight on Black Fridays, and I think that was that year's like Thanksgiving release. And I saw it and thought about it for like a week, and then didn't really think about it again for a while. It certainly became ubiquitous very quickly, but it was kind of like I said in the previous episode, like Finding Nemo. Like, okay, yeah, got it.
Yeah.
Nemo much more visually beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, I saw Frozen and I liked it fine, which is why I think I really, like, when I got off this ride, I was like, oh, that was really good. I really, really liked that. Why I felt like it was really, because I had no strong affection for the actual movie.
It felt like it felt like earned to you because
Yes.
it wasn't just inherently I'm going to see these characters and then I'm going to feel something. Like it was the ride doing it.
The ride did it. Yes, exactly. Because like Little Mermaid, I think we talked about this on the last episode. Little Mermaid, which I think we all have some problems with. This movie I like a lot better. I like the songs better, obviously, and it's also been with me for like 30 years or so. And I don't know. I don't necessarily need to go on that ride a lot, but I would go on this ride like every time. I would tell anybody you got to go on this, and I would not say like, "Oh my God, you missed Little Mermaid." Oh, like I would not be upset for them missing Little Mermaid ride.
I'd agree with that.
Little Mermaid, we didn't mention, I think just uses the clamshells from the Nemo and Friends.
Is it just the
Is
same
that
ones,
right?
really?
Is it just the same clamshell vehicle? Kind of?
Probably. If you got a clam shape for an Omni
Yeah.
mover, might as well. We're going orderly here, and I don't want to jump around, but just on the topic of like the ride earning, and this might tell you where I'm at with the whole thing. Yeah, I don't know whatever characters Jason mentioned. I don't know what they are. The spoogies. I don't know what you said.
That was not what he said, but go ahead.
I don't think it was the spoogies, but I don't know who anybody. I'm passing by characters on this, like whatever. Tell me the story again. I don't know who those are. I literally have not seen Frozen at all. So let me have not seen. I don't know anything about it. So there's nothing inherently in the IP going for me. Then I'm enjoying the ride, and then you get to Elsa, and you do the first of the switchbacks. You're going forward, and then you kind of rotate while watching her, and then right at the chorus of Let It Go, you're released backwards. The backwards drop that is retained from the Maelstrom. Guys, I teared up. I teared up at this point in the ride. I think it is so beautiful, soaring backwards while magic dust flies over your head. It's beautiful screens. I've never even thought to myself I like the song. I've probably been annoyed by the song.
Yes.
And yet, just in this context, I think this is a triumph of a room. I think it's a fantastic sequence in a ride. Thank you, Mike. Yes.
I could not agree more. That song, I like Do You Want to Build a Snowman? That might not even be the name of it. I like that. I like it for the first time in forever. Let It Go, I get that people like it, and I like hearing people sing it if they're excited about it. But that song, I was always like, it's kind of like boring, very easy chord progression, nothing. That happens, and I go, this is a magical moment. I totally agree.
Yeah, I was really swept up in it. Can you guys not relate to this in any regard? Do you feel nothing at that sequence of the ride?
There's silence. There's stunned silence.
Yeah, I know they're like glaring at us, Mike.
They're mad. They're upset.
It's like getting pushed backwards in a closed Best Buy where all the TVs are on, the sampling.
What are you talking about?
The rotating.
Boo to this. You Grinch. You Grouch.
Screens. It's just screens with like
just screens.
It's just screens with this like snowflake, and half of the walls are not decorated.
That's fucking. You like things with screens, and you wouldn't say just screens about Rise of the Resistance. You wouldn't say just screens about Guardians. That's
the faces are these.
That's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about the faces.
We'll deal with the faces later. We're talking about the backwards drop room, which you've compared to a Black Friday trip to Best Buy.
No, I said it closed. Like it's closed. Like the lights are mostly off in the Best Buy, but the TVs are on their sampling loop. So you can see the circa 2015, 2016.
I don't, Jason, we were all there together in October. I don't remember any of this energy. I feel like I mean, I don't know that you were jumping for joy, but I don't recall you being like, her rumpf, this ride is the worst.
I think I wrote it and then I went and ate dinner. I don't think I thought about it a lot. Like right after it, like you sit with this stuff for a little while, and like I've watched the ride throughs a couple times. Carly, what is your opinion on this sequence?
I said before I came on this episode that I didn't want it to turn into a me versus Scott situation.
I know we're back there again.
However,
but it's reversed now. The dynamic is reversed.
Which is, I'm wondering if the audience will be on my side, or will they just inherently not be on my side because of me somehow?
I would go as far as to say that there are some portions of the ride that I think are fabulous. I think they rendered Olaf so well. They couldn't have done a better job.
Yeah.
Like, Olaf looks so real. I think that the opening and closing scene of the attraction is very nice. But the exact scene you're describing, I would say, is the worst scene of any Disney ride in existence.
No! What are you talking about?
I have said this before.
I have never yelled. That is impossible. That is the worst sequence in Disney ride history ever.
Yes, let me explain.
What do you mean?
Because
have you been on Armageddon in Paris?
I have been. I would rather be on Armageddon than in that one scene.
What do you mean? A scene that I tear? Boy, we just view the world differently, apparently.
The problem is not, once you no longer see Elsa, then just shit is over. You can see the lack of budget around you. And like, even if you painted cardboard, I'd be happy, truly. But once you're passing through that scene, it is like, it is nothingness, and then there's like a bloop of fog, and then there is a black hallway. And a black hallway.
Now this came up. We discussed this.
It is literally no theming. There's no theming. It's not like it's themed poorly. There is no theming. They didn't even put anything there. They didn't put a snowflake. They didn't put like a little icicle. There's nothing. And so it is so egregious to me to be like, here is the most advanced at the time audio animatronic we've ever made, as you pull away to nothingness.
Now, you mentioned this in the Living of the Land episode. I didn't even clock that there was this unthemed room. Now I watched the the ride-throughs, and I can't unsee it. And yeah, you're in black first, but I swear to God, you're in there for 3 seconds. I'm not excusing it. But also, I honestly was wrapped up in the emotion of what came before enough that it did not occur to me. I did not even register this room, which I guess just indicates that it didn't sweep you up the same way it swept me
I
up.
think it's like a cave. It's like Pirates on the way down. You're in some sort of a cave. It's spooky. There's mist. It doesn't need to have like something there. That's my feeling about it.
I don't think it is the only undressed. It's not the only like room of blackness. Like Indiana Jones has, and that's not to say that, like they should probably fill in the Indiana Jones blacknesses.
Yeah. Indiana Jones has like the dull light bulb problem that a lot of movie theaters do too. Some of those projection things would be served by switching out the bulbs a little more in Indiana Jones.
But
I'm just trying to think of counterexamples. There's not one part of Ellen's Energy Adventure that is worse to you than the backwards drop on Frozen Ever After.
To me, like when you really look at it, it's like this is a proven franchise. This is a movie that everyone who's like the target age of children and families when it came out, like this is the Disney audience. This is who they need to sell this ride to. And the fact that there is a scene where there is nothing, like notably nothing to me, infuriates me. I can't even enjoy it. It just upsets me so much that there's just nothing. There's just nothing.
But it erases what comes before. It erases, if we're taking just the drop. Like let's just, and maybe you can't because it's one big sequence. But like the drop is null and void to you because there's darkness for 4 or 5 seconds.
Okay, I think I will add this. I realized in thinking about this ride today, I think I don't like to go backwards on a non-coaster.
Okay.
I think that part of it is that like you want your eyes to be leading you, and when you move backwards, it's not the same experience, and you can't take it in the same way.
If you have an issue with just backwards moments, then yeah, this isn't gonna score for you. I think it's cool. I hear what you're saying, that once you can't see the Elsa animatronic, then you're kind of looking at screens playing animation. But I really like just the way she like trails up into the background for a while. I like having like, I can't picture a sequence like that where you are focused on something and it gets smaller and smaller. And I feel like most drop rides, there isn't really a thing to focus on. I think that's just an interesting POV and perspective, like kind of a cool like camera angle. It's like a big like, jib out or something.
I mean, I'll clarify. That part I think is fine. It's the second she's gone, game over.
Sure. Okay. I feel like I gotta get you on there's gotta be a worse sequence in an
like
attraction.
Finding Nemo subs. Like this is I'm not a big fan. The whole thing is like sort of boring to me. You have to say something on that is worse than this.
I mean, I'm just, choking on my fear when I'm on that, because I'm like, what is the fire escape situation? But
sure.
It's just like, the reason I say that it's the worst is because it's a new build. Like, they did this a few years ago. Just a few years ago. Like, they could have done anything.
Sure.
Yeah, this is the same line of logic as Fast and the Furious Supercharged. I'm not saying these are equivalents. I'm saying these were their both respective studios' biggest properties. And they both just like slammed their foot in a door, like on
but the
both.
guest is not,
like,
that's
not to the same extent.
But the guest is, but it's like, this ride is very popular. In fact, that ride is not popular.
Yeah, Fast and Furious is very disliked. Frozen Ever After is not. I think that like just pure numbers wise, and that's not, we won't always point to that as something being successful, but like, do you guys feel general guest dissatisfaction with this attraction, or do you think that it's your guys in particular taste?
I think it's just me in particular. It's, from what I understand, people really enjoy it. I went on it with my friends' kids, and I feel like the older one was like, their faces are weird, but that like otherwise they really enjoyed it. And I will go on it mostly just to try to understand. Because I've been arguing about this ride with my friend Todd Martins, who reports on Disney for the LA Times. He loves Frozen. He loves this ride. We have gotten into very public fights about this attraction. And I go on it specifically to text him and be like, I'm trying. I am trying to understand. And I think parts of it are great, but I can't lose my critical eye, I suppose, when I'm on this one, because just that hallway is so egregious to me. It feels like in elementary school when people would put on a haunted house. That's what that is to me, and I can't get over it. No beautiful Olaf audio animatronic can outdo that for me.
When you brought this, because I was recalling this Black Room discussion, I knew this would come up, and I think I had the inverse of this. I was watching ride-throughs, and I was trying to dislike it. I was like, okay, will I be as mad as Carlye about this room? And I swear I'm watching the ride-throughs and yeah, but you're out of there. You're out of there in what? I'd have to time it out. I don't want to exaggerate that it's 4 seconds, but in my head it's 4. It is no more than 8 seconds, I believe. Maybe we can do the actual count. But is this so crazy?
It takes you 8 seconds to go and get a Kleenex to wipe the tears away, for God's sake. I didn't notice it either.
I'm coming down. I'm coming down from the emotion of the drop.
Only this and Sinbad in Tokyo in my adult years have made me a little emotional.
Wow.
I'm so
emotional
surprised
boat
that you're
rides of your 30s.
Full ass crying at this ride when you don't even know the movie. What is it? What is it about it?
I think it is how well they pulled up. I get I think it's the theme park love coming through, and I think I will tear up at amazing work by Imagineers, which I believe that this is. I think when there is when technology comes together, I think, what else is another aspect of it is that as I said, love Maelstrom, really love Maelstrom. I would have been mad if I didn't like what replaced the Maelstrom. And I feel like they used the bones of a great ride and they plussed it up and did something really wonderful with it. I feel like, am I passionate about the trolls and Into the Bog? Of course I am. But I think I'm also passionate about the type of ride. I think it is a really inventive ride.
The Bog?
What's that?
Over the falls, not into the bog.
I thought they say Into the Bog.
Into the bog?
What is it, Mike?
That's a good question.
I thought it was back over
Could
the
be
falls.
over the falls. Yeah. Well, I guess how passionate
I'll have to
get
look
it
that
wrong.
up.
Yeah. Look, I love the trolls. Whatever they're saying, I love. What was I saying? Oh, I just think that I like that it's a ride that still has the things that I like about the Maelstrom. I think that the switchbacks are really innovative. I think it's very unexpected. I love rotating around a figure, whether it's a 3-headed troll or Elsa. I think it's really innovative and neat that they took a drop which should be scary, but they made it this emotional. I don't know what other word to use.
Uplifting.
Uplifting despite going down. What's that?
Triumphant.
Yeah. It's similar to Guardians becoming a fun, laughing ride from what was a scary drop ride. I think it's a similar, cool Imagineering feat to, give this a different mood that this type of ride shouldn't have.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that. Yeah. I see where you're coming from. And I do like parts of the ride. I don't want anyone to think that because if they catch me on this, I don't want them to think that, I hate it. But I think that there are certain portions that I think are fabulous, and certain portions that I think are a sad excuse for a theme park ride, and then some areas live in the middle.
Right. If we want to flip to, since I was just passionately monologuing about what I like about that sequence, I'll give everybody this: the figures are odd. I think there might be some general agreement that the way the animatronics faces look is a little strange. It wasn't enough of a strike for me, but I don't disagree with that point.
They have Buzz Lightyear Astro Blaster face.
Odd light faces.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but these were the first fully electronic animatronics. And the other thing to note is the face projections are coming from inside the head.
I think that is correct.
And as opposed to, let's say, the Belle from Beauty and the Beast, the new Beauty and the Beast attraction in Disney Sea, which is all just like practical face movements.
Yeah.
This is the same sort of face projection that's in Seven Dwarfs Mine Train.
Yeah.
Right.
Another ride I think I like more, but I'm like, oh, I'm not waiting that.
You like Seven Dwarfs
like
more than this?
I think so, because it's a roller coaster.
I like that ride a lot.
I don't know.
It's sort of lacking in my mind.
I find the animatronics in both unnerving, this sort of face projection.
That's true.
I find it both kind of unnerving.
This generation of animatronic, I think they were trying this out, and it doesn't. It's obviously now, if we're seeing what they're doing in Tokyo, and I guess on Rise of the Resistance, like I think they're backing away fully from just fully digital face, because it's a little odd, and it also like doesn't seem to match the color of their skin. It does look like they all have. I'm trying to think.
5 o'clock shadow. Like everybody's got like a weird. They're very light and then very dark around the side. Like they all have Lincoln beards, like light Lincoln beards, and then back to a bright neck.
Yes. So that's really that's the only major thing I would complain about. I think is that those faces are odd, and depending on how you look at them, you feel like maybe the robot is going to come to life and kill you, or.
There is a very funny video online of an Elsa
I have it. You want to see it?
Do you?
I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on.
Is this the one where the people are like laughing and screaming?
I'm not sure. Here, I'll show you if this is what you're talking about.
The ring girl come out of her face?
So she is just like waving her hand a little bit. And no music's playing.
She's doing the Trump hand. She's doing the Trump animatronic hands.
The accordion.
The song does not like play triumphantly.
Yeah, the screens aren't really going, are they? What happened here?
Something happened. We'll retweet
Something
that,
happened.
and you can see it. Yes. So
maybe I haven't been in
like
a theme
that.
park in a very long time, because I watched that and was like, that's not that bad.
We would be thrilled to get like lazy Elsa on a ride at that point. You'd be like, oh my god, it's like a walk off at that point.
Yeah.
To get like a lazy Elsa.
Disney can turn off half their animatronics when we come back. I won't care. Whatever you got to do.
Honestly, more plants wearing sombreros like brought me so much joy. I'll take it anywhere, anytime.
Yeah, this is bizarre. We haven't talked about this on the show. How on the Three Caballeros boat ride that Donald broke, and now there seems to be an in memoriam for like, you know that it's the Three Caballeros, so there's no way around it. You like, there's three, we know the count, and then when only two characters show up next to it is a cactus with a sombrero.
It was, I believe it was first a plant, and then it was a plant with a sombrero, and I wouldn't even call it, like, it was like a wooden stake with vines, so like not even a full blown plant. And then it was gone. And I have to assume it was gone because they just got their asses handed to them for putting a sombrero on leaves, which, like, how can you not?
They fired like 90% of the Imagineers at this point. So like the one Imagineer that's still around was like, I don't know, just put a sombrero on a cactus. I don't know. Like, what are we going to do? We don't have any budget. They fired everyone else.
We got a fern backstage, and we got a bunch of scrap metal for the water show monoliths. It's either a piece of scrap metal or it's a fern.
It just to me seemed like a black bag situation. Like, Donald's not working. You can't pretend he wasn't here because of the name. Just toss a black bag over it and we'll all just move on. And instead they were like, let's get creative. And like erected some non-plant, and then we're like, no one will notice. Let's put a sombrero on it.
It's actually kind of cute. It's, you know what? Maybe it's better than what was there.
Do we know, like, today, what is it right now?
There's nothing, as far as I know.
Just got rid of it.
Yeah.
Got it.
Did you hear Donald's voice doing nothing? Like his
In that
ghostly
scene,
voice?
I'm not sure.
They should have like badly dubbed somebody's voice over, being like, we can't do Donald's voice. We've tried a million times on the show, so I don't know if I should even try again. But it should be like a guy going, "Oh, I was turned into a cactus." Like there could be a little bit
yeah.
of explanation. Like somebody's wish turned me into a cactus.
Well,
Oh, that was good.
now that you've done the subtitle, how do you say? Now say I was turned into a cactus.
Sounds like you're dying.
I know. You guys want to try?
No,
I was turned into a
I'm
cactus.
currently what's the opposite of viral when people just attack you? Because that's what I am on TikTok right now because I said that Donald Duck was mean. So
Oh, that's right. Oh, you're in the middle of a thing.
Yeah.
I've sort of caught this. What happened?
I
Why
can't
is
even
everyone mad at you?
open TikTok because my entire feed is teenagers screaming at me for a full week now.
Well, you're having a real living with the land situation.
Yes, I am. And I didn't even get any cereal out of it.
Is this you? You were like you were. I don't remember what. I don't know if I even know what you said, but you were like you're joking. It was one of those situations where people don't comprehend jokes on social media. Sometimes they just view things as factual or not. So,
Also,
they were
Donald
just
is
mad at your
mean.
statement.
He is mean. And then so the first wave of I didn't do anything over Christmas. I sat in my house. I did nothing. And I was like, I guess it's time for TikTok. I'm bored. And then made one that's like, what's your most unpopular opinion? Because it's my opinion that he's mean. And then I got a wave of people yelling at me that he's mean because he's like a war vet and because of PTSD. And then like, I don't support our troops.
What?
Yeah, that was the first wave of it. Then I happened to be friendly with the guy who voices Donald Duck in the newer cartoons. I met him at a party last year. And so he's big on TikTok. And he was like, I'm going to make one. Is it okay? And I'm like, do whatever you want. And so he made one like in good fun. And even in the comments was like, please don't bully her. And that didn't stop anyone. So his is like him crying in reaction. And then there's this other TikTok account called Donald Duck with 2 C's. And I feel very old because I don't know who this is. It is a Donald Duck stuffed animal that just screams. I don't know. He has like 9 million followers or something. And he found it and he reposted it. And since then, it has just been hell. Hell.
Look, Donald has PTSD and depression from dropping both Fat Man and Little Boy. Okay, he pressed the button both times. He firebombed Dresden. You know, he's doing his best.
We're using like the war cartoons as canon to prove that Donald Duck was mean before he went to war.
I don't know. I mean, I've been sweating since I said this one scene was bad because now I'm like, if the teens find out, what are they going to do to me this time?
Oh my God. We brought up Donald without even realizing we were walking right into it. But they didn't deny that Donald is mean. They're just justifying that his meanness is
Well,
for
now
a reason.
they're like, they're mad.
Huh. Did they think that he's a veteran because he always wears a sailor suit? Do they think he was in the Navy before he met Mickey?
I don't know. I don't know much about him except that he always feels like a very negative presence in the cartoon, and he takes away from Goofy's time. So that's where I am on it.
Yes, boy, huh? Donald is mean and negative. You mean the point of Donald? You mean why Donald is funny? This is like Goofy's kind of dumb. Yeah. Oh, how dare you? He wasn't educated properly.
He's like he's always frustrated, and that's why it's funny to watch them like mess with him. Like Mr. Duck Steps Out, which is my favorite Donald short. He's trying to hook up with Daisy, and the nephews just keep screwing with him, and he gets furious, and it's so funny. Like that's his whole point.
He's not helpful when Mickey and Goofy are trying to get the ghost or rescue Mickey's trailer when it's wildly out of control. You know, he's not the best. Is this the certain subsect of the internet that it's like books should have a sticker on the front that tells you if there's a happy ending or not? Like, okay, man.
What?
I don't know I don't understand the Zoomer experience.
I don't know.
Or that's like YA.
That sounds like a Tucker Carlson segment.
That's a dark
Tucker Carlson
place.
segment that you're already writing there.
Oh, Ariel Pink's new manager, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like I've praised Ariel Pink before on the show. It's
No,
just because I liked the music before I knew he was a conservative maniac. I didn't know.
We didn't know. He made good keyboard sounds.
It was like retro sounding and lo-fi. Do the teens have any, like, are we on this podcast as far as Donald discourse, like we accidentally ended up talking about Donald's seat on one episode a few years ago. Do they know about us? Do the teens know about us and what we say?
I don't think that the seat discourse has made it to them, but if you made a TikTok about it, I think that the two would meld, most likely.
No, this will not occur.
We should. No. I'm going to sign up a podcast right TikTok, and we should probably start seat posting.
Yeah.
God.
This is perfect. A friend of the show, regular guest Marissa Strickland, sent me for Christmas an iPhone case that has a big Donald seat on the bottom. It's
let's
in the
take a
other
look.
room.
Yeah.
You want me to go get it? It's in the other room.
Yeah, go get it.
Get it.
Yeah,
Okay.
go get it.
All right,
Talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah. It is it's so interesting. You've really cornered the market on something, and it's butts, I guess. Anytime I see Donald stuff, I'm like, that's a Donald seat. Like, it's just stuck with me.
I don't like this. If this is one of these, all right, just like the Vacation Club Points episode, if there is this TikTok that happens and there is something called seat posting, this is scot-free. This is a new
posting,
brand within
posting.
Podcast The Ride. What was that?
I said not shit posting. It's seat posting.
Seat posting.
Yes, yeah.
I'm
not part of the seat posting. I'm not on this TikTok.
It's all because I accidentally called Donald's butt his ass once, and then I immediately was ashamed of myself, and then tried to knock it back down to a cute, harmless version of it.
We should be more ashamed of seat. This is where the shame should come in. And then we
what
all
a
waited
seat.
for Jason
Wow.
to bring this phone case.
It's great. Yeah, it's very good. And
It's huge. You can fit
it
that
is
in your
huge.
pocket.
No, it's not at all practical. It's very cute though. And Donald Duck also has a great John Hancock, great signature. If you can see, yeah, very dignified.
That
in
is
addition to
weird.
his
I like
thick
it, but it's
seat.
weird.
All right, enjoy your TikTok. Enjoy chasing your teen audience. Have fun, fellas.
The teens need to listen. We need to get youthful.
I just said we have no college audience, and we should have no teen audience. We're going to keep it that way.
You don't have young listeners? I just assumed.
We do have
with those jokes out of Carlson, please.
Wait, what, these jokes about William Frawley from I Love Lucy?
They're going wild for this discussion about both Jack Benny and I don't know, what have I talked about? I don't know.
Frank
Kundun?
Nelson. Frank Nelson his bit being stolen by Gail Gordon.
Teens are doing the whip and the nay-nay while they read Lee Child's Jack Reacher series.
This guy told this story on TikTok about how people used to bring citrus fruits back from vacation. It's so viral.
Bring it back.
It's called Nelsoning. It's when you imitate classic character actor Frank Nelson on TikTok. Yes.
These guys are great. They do seat posting, they do Nelsoning, and then every third TikTok is like, so like I'm youthful, right? Like I'm youthful enough, aren't I? I mean, like I'll wear like a hat, like I'm youthful, right?
Fruity Pebbles, and look how I'm dressed. That's gonna be my
Fruity
TikTok.
Pebbles is what kicks you down to. How old does Fruity Pebbles make you?
Well, Fruity Pebbles is celebrating an anniversary. I just saw. And I can't remember if it's 30 years or 40 or
paper, gold, silver.
I got to look it up. Fruity Pebbles. I just saw this. It's a big anniversary, and I really want to celebrate.
They do seat posting. They do Nelsoning. They make each other wait for Fruity Pebbles facts on their podcast.
Wow, Pebbles' 50th birthday.
Wow.
So happy birthday to Fruity Pebbles and Cocoa Pebbles. How about that?
So the first TikTok will be happy birthday, Fruity Pebbles, and then just lots of zooming into Donald's seat.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Well, Jason, you name the new song. Name the current song that plays.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, what's big? What's the big...
Dua Lipa?
Doja Cat?
Doja Cat?
Yeah, Doja Cat. Yeah, those. Yeah, Dua Lipa was just on SNL, and she had a new song out. There's an Ariana Grande
very out of date
remix.
though already. I think we might be talking
No,
about
I'm just like
5-year-old things.
I just liked to think that we're somewhat young, but then referencing music as what played on SNL is
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, there's a
Wait, yeah, that's maybe not the good litmus, is it? Yes.
Oh, no.
Maybe the cool music is not at that point. Yeah.
I thought I was cool for saying I liked Ariel Pink.
You were cool in 2008, and now you're a right-wing
Yeah.
apologist.
Big mistake. All right, here's what I will say. Again, a Frozen movie, fine, whatever. I like a few of the songs. As soon as I start on this ride, I feel very comfortable. I feel comforted, and I feel like all these characters are my friends. Now, I've talked a lot about this. What I like on rides is to feel the presence of the characters. I like Optimus Prime telling me he's proud of me. My favorite part of Rise of the Resistance is the Lieutenant Beck part. I want to go up to that animatronic while he's like shouting out commands at Nyan Numb. That's my favorite part of Rise of the Resistance. And I like Rise of the Resistance fine, but there's not a lot of good FaceTime with characters, and especially characters that I find warm and friendly and familiar. Like Finn is way far away. Rey isn't even on the ride. There's just not a lot of human characters. So I'm immediately on Frozen. The music is blasting, which I love. I feel like some rides don't blast music. They're blasting this music. It feels very magical. And I'm so close to all of these robots on, like, in the same way you are on like a classic Disneyland dark ride, that I immediately feel good. I immediately have a good feeling that I'm in the presence of all my friends. Now, I wish they said they were proud of me, but this is almost just as good. And I think that kind of leads up to it, what Scott is describing as that magical moment with the Let It Go room, to lead me into feeling really good when I'm on this ride. It feels good. And I think it's partly also because Maelstrom, they had to work within like a certain, limitation. And Maelstrom is narrow. It's a very small ride. It's got narrow corridors. And I think that helps because even if the scenes are a little spare, I'm still like making eye contact with Olaf and he's talking to me and I don't even have that much affection for him outside. And we haven't even done the Olaf voice yet on this episode. So anyway.
That can change.
We can keep doing it, can't we?
There might, I think we've only danced around it, but I might as well, again, to say what I think is successful about this. I like the ride despite not really knowing Frozen. Some of the things that I've said over the many episodes might imply that I'm not the biggest fan of the work of Josh Gad. I will stop it there. I'm glad he's reuniting all the casts. It's uplifted my spirits throughout this trying time. But so I think it should say something that yet, despite me kind of feeling that way, when Olaf kind of leans around the corner, like that look he has, like, you're here. I don't know. It still gets to me. I think there is a lot of character in that robot.
It's fantastic. He skates. He's looking at you. It's like, I like Olaf. I like Mater. I like Olaf. And those are movies that I don't love, but I get it and I understand. And I think as a kid, I would have really liked those characters. But Olaf is really good. I mean, he's the first one I think it talks to you, right? So he immediately is what I'm describing as like feeling comfortable and feeling like I'm among my friends.
Mm-hmm.
So
he covers a lot of ground. He's sort of this school with the rocket animatronic. Where like, boy, this is just a long sequence that this animatronic has to do, and like you really follow him for a while. I think it's impressive.
It feels like they've perfected short non-human robots. Like, they're like.
Are there any more of these?
What's that?
Are there any more of these?
That's
what else
question.
is short and non-human? BB-8, but he's kind of
what's the reindeer?
Sven? Sven is the reindeer, I believe.
That one's real good.
He's really good.
I mean,
too.
those animatronics. I'm right there with you. I agree with this side that those are fantastic because it feels like the movie came to life, which is all you want. As much as they have to make some cockamamie story that isn't the exact plot of the movie, but still hits all the same movie points. Like you get what you want out of it. You get to see Olaf in real life, and that's magical. And I think that part is so good. That's why I get so mad about the other parts.
Yeah, it's he's obviously he's on another level from the human characters. But I think he does so much heavy lifting that I don't even, especially the first time I wrote it, like I didn't even really clock that I had a problem with the faces the first time. I was just like, holy shit, when am I going to get to see Olaf again? my favorite character in fiction, Olaf. Like that immediately, Olaf seduces me on the ride in a way he does not in real life. And I like him fine in real life.
Olaf seduces me on the ride. Quote, Mike Carlson.
What's weird
Quote,
about
youth
that?
pastor Mike Carlson.
I think that sounds normal, honestly.
Did I not realize? Is this an anti-Josh Gad podcast? I don't
I don't
know.
want to go putting that in anyone's mouth.
I feel like I missed an episode where this was discussed.
We've just done a voice. It's not to my benefit to go on and on about this. I've never really truly enjoyed a film. Maybe it's the writing.
But he's great. Book of Mormon, great. Olaf, great. I think maybe
I never saw him do Book of Mormon, which I'm sure was fantastic.
Did nobody watch The Comedians?
I did not see The Comedians.
Fabulous.
Cricket.
Okay, all right, okay.
Loved it.
It also blends into my Pillsbury Doughboy impression. It's like they're both very cloying kind of voices, like nothing says loving. It's sort of the same, like needy. They're both needy, honestly.
They could redress this Olaf as the Pillsbury Doughboy, and then Jason would love the...
If there was a Pillsbury Doughboy overlay.
Man. If there was a Pillsbury Doughboy animatron, I would lose my shit.
If you got to
they
touch
can't make one. Yeah, you can't touch him. There's no way. They would never let us touch him.
It couldn't be on a moving ride.
Augmented reality. I think Mario Kart is really gonna take augmented reality to another level.
I hate to derail. We've had a lot of asides here. I heard a rumor that Mario Kart actually is a slow-moving kids' dark ride, but it'll feel faster because of just the screens and the AR and stuff. I was under the impression it would actually move fairly fast, but I've heard it's a slow-moving children's dark ride. I just thought I'd let everyone know.
What if it? Yeah,
I think they could pull that trick off.
I agree.
I think they'd be able to trick us. They didn't trick us with Fast and Furious.
No.
Yeah.
No.
No.
But I just had to recalibrate my expectations that it wouldn't be like a Cars Land type of a situation.
Maybe it just like whips and maybe it like hits corners in a way that feels like drifting or something. That's kind of the excitement.
Slow moving means more room for scenes, which is good.
Yeah, I'd take, because if you're just plowing through that thing, then how many can they fit in?
So that's good. But anyway, back to Olaf skating. I think that the combination of the music, which like the pre-part, like the do you want to build it? Is the song called "Do You Want to Build a Snowman"? I don't even know the name of the song. Do you want to build a snowman? That little,
that's right.
Twinkly part of it, which again I have no affection prior. But you go up, you start the ride, and there's like the sparkly like icicle kind of lights hanging.
That part's fabulous.
It's fabulous.
Yeah.
So yeah,
love that scene. And then you think it's only going to be Olaf, and then there's like a whole other second scene within the scene. It's fabulous.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just like I don't think there's other than maybe the unthemed little 8 seconds. I don't think there's a bad scene in this because I like those trolls and I forget the trolls are there. And the trolls are like, as far as my memory of the movie, like nothing. Like I don't remember those trolls in the movie. I was like, oh yeah, there were trolls, I guess. But I like
somewhere
the little
between the gaslighting prince and the coup d'etat attempt. If you list out everything that happens in Frozen, the movie, it's a mess. I'll tell you what I like. I like that chant, that Nordic, I think it's called Vuli or Vulai. I like that. I think plays on the lift hill going up. That might have been the song I remembered the most from the movie.
I feel like every time Mike says something he likes, I like this ride 20% more.
Well, I'm very persuasive.
Because now I'm like, I do like the icicle lights.
Why am I not
Olaf.
doing it? I said some very impassioned things.
Yes,
I don't know, because he's right. You aren't always like a inappropriate touch away from a character. You know what I mean? Like you're right there. Like you're not supposed to reach your arm out of the boat, but you could, and you could touch them. They're right there.
The proximity's interesting. Yeah,
it's really, I feel like there's a chance, especially in the era of building Little Mermaid, like if they built this like Little Mermaid, you wouldn't have the intimacy of this ride. You would have a bigger show building, and perhaps it wouldn't feel so close quartered to the point where you would feel like you get right by that snow monster at the end. I don't even know. Is it an abominable snowman? I don't know the names of that character, but I love that giant. Iceman at the end, and I forget he
blows
exists.
steam at you. That part's awesome.
The steam is perfectly timed when like the snow never bothered me anyway, and the fog goes up. I think that's perfect. Like that kind of surprises me every time too. The amount of things they pack into 5 minutes. I mean, I think this is on par with like like Peter Pan, honestly.
Okay, well, now you lost me.
They're okay.
I think it's that good. I don't know. And not that much affection for the movie.
What is the audience that I'm so curious? Are we going to like unearth that people have been quietly despising this ride for a while? Or
I think
people
a lot of
super
people
enthusiastic?
like it. I think.
We'll see. I'm not sure. I do think people like. I don't get the sense that people hate it, but I am interested to see. I'm trying to think of the things that I was right. I guess right that most people thought Baby Aladar was cute. I was wrong that I thought it would be 50-50 on people liking Mr. Six, the old man Six Flags mascot. People love Mr. Six. I was totally wrong about that. So I'm interested in. I bet it would. Okay, here's my official guess. I bet like 75% of the audience likes this.
I'm going down.
You think
I'm
it's
so
lower?
fucked. Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, I'm out here hating a hallway and just like bypassing the beautiful Olaf, and people are just going to be like, shut her up.
Well, people will feel heard, I think, in what you're saying, too. There will definitely be people who what you're saying resonates. Which is not a feeling I felt after Living with the Land, where I think if we did Living with the Land, that poll would be 99.4%. I truly didn't know that. I honestly did not know the like strong affection for, like, did you, before that argument ever came up, what would you have guessed on that, Mike? Like, would you like Living with the Land?
Yeah, that's a good question, because I would have thought that people that really like Living with the Land would be like 55 or 60% that liked it, and 40 would say like, it's fine, but I don't, there's better stuff in Epcot, better classic Epcot. So I was a little surprised by the amount of people that had such a strong affection for it, because I don't have such a strong affection for it. I was a theme park moderate on that episode.
No, that's right. Yes,
and liked going on it, and I would like it to continue, but I'm not so
looking back. And moderation won at the end of the year.
That's true. Everyone just wants a nice moderate.
Congratulations.
I want those $1,400 checks. I don't want it to be more.
I never wanted more. I don't want to ask for more.
I don't want to bother.
Whatever you can spare is fine. I've just been unemployed for 10 months.
I'll take the $1,400. Now we're doing a laugh, aren't we?
I think with Living with the Land, my perspective on it would be that as you see these classic attractions disappear, it's like we all have to double down to be very loud about them. Like, you have to be like, Spaceship Earth is the best, so that they don't just make it like a whole Moana ride, whatever that's gonna be. So like, you gotta be loud and proud about the old stuff, because they'll just pull it out of there.
Yeah.
They'll just like bulldoze it. So, we got to concentrate our efforts.
Right.
That's a good point. Let them hear you in the rafters. Yeah, from the rafters.
I am optimistic about some of the character stuff coming to Epcot, because with Ratatouille and, Ratatouille, they built a whole new area and a whole new building.
Beautiful.
Guardians, it looks, the French street, the France Pavilion, already very nice. They expanded that. Guardians, they just gut it. That like kept the exterior, gutted the inside, kind of not dissimilar to what they, did with Guardians and California Adventure, and starting fresh. And I do like those, and but I'm optimistic about that. And then I'm conflicted about, like, we talked about on the Living Seas, they put in a lot of the signs back in about Sea Base, about the modules and like the Epcot font, and I kind of like. I like it, but I'm conflicted, because I think the phrase "a lack of imagination" comes up. It's like, okay, it's a little sad that our version of the future, we don't have an optimistic version of the future presented in Epcot. We have the future of like 40 years ago coming back around, and that's your option for the future park is future from 40 years ago or the characters, which you can pull up on Disney Plus on your phone and see the characters.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, with the optimistic future all being from 40 years ago is why we're getting 29 new Star Wars shows.
Yeah.
I wish there was a world where like Epcot, when they were designing Epcot, they could have figured out a way. And I think I've said this before. Maybe it's like putting original characters on each ride and trying to make them so they were grandfathered in more like Haunted Mansion and Pirates. Like there's a version of us being able to keep some of these original things that I think they didn't want to do what they were doing over in Disneyland and Disney World for a reason, but I think it's cost them in the long run because of that. Like Figment and the Dreamfinder were the closest thing they got to it, but even they didn't make it out unscathed and still might not. But I wish they could have still done their weirdo, fun, interesting, well, not fun, scary, interesting rides and done it in such a way that would have made a lot more of these untouchable. So give Epcot more history. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, like Epcot's more about cool environments and vibes and not so much characters. And you might say the same thing in a way about Pirates and Haunted Mansion, except that you remember like, oh yeah, the foot pirate or the three guys locked in the jail or these particular ghosts. And that is maybe like, am I crazy that Epcot is not full of that? Like think about like World of Motion. I was a big fan of World of Motion, but like, what are the characters that you need to save?
Right.
Horse car crash.
Really any of them. I mean, I like all these rides.
What'd you say, Jason?
Like,
Horse car crash.
Oh,
yeah.
Remember the big horse car
Didn't that
crash?
end up in Pirates or didn't they move that? Or some of the characters?
Maybe.
They might have reused it. Some at Figment Jedi on Twitter sent us the concept art of Captain Salty Hinder and his mackerel that were characters originally considered for the Living Seas at some point.
Yes. This is something. Now this is what Mike's talking about. More grandfathered in good characters.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if Captain Salty would have completely saved the seas from becoming Nemo and friends, but there's something to it. I mean, there's no way you could have known, I guess, when you were trying to do something interesting and cool that like this stuff is going to have to go away at a certain point because people aren't quite as attached to it. The general population isn't quite as attached to it. But I do think some of that would have helped at least preserve it. And maybe it doesn't need to be preserved. I think Joe Rohde was saying like he thinks of things and rides and attractions in his Adventurers Club more like a Broadway show. Well, it had a 15-year run, a 20-year run. So maybe that's fine. Maybe everything doesn't need to be forever. I guess you could also say that about why we might not need 26 Star Wars shows. Maybe Star Wars could be over. It's possible we don't need it forever. A new thing will come that we'll like.
Or is it possible that because the first Star Wars show everyone loves, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to do all of the rest of them? I'm not discounting. That's what I'm saying. Is like Mandalorian. I think Mandalorian's worth doing. Clearly, people are apeshit for Mandalorian. Does that mean we're gonna like all of the rest of them?
Well, see, I'm kind of like, let's be quiet, because then maybe they'll apply that to the Muppets. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, maybe we'll get 26 Muppet shows if we show enough interest. There'll be a pattern for this.
Yeah.
How do we let anyone know we want that? What's the move as an audience?
Of course we want that. What?
No, but how do we make Disney aware? What's the best way?
Just gotta keep talking about it.
I guess so.
I don't know. The Muppets is a trick. The Muppets is trickier, I feel like. I feel like we'll get like a little bone thrown every few years.
Until it's been pretty much.
Until they like sell them off to someone else.
Oh,
God. The Muppets is a whole nother episode, though. That's a whole nother discussion. Where's that going? Before we stop, I know the name of the guy who was the lead Imagineer. His name was Michel, and I can't pronounce his last name, Den Dolk. And he is a mentee of a Mr. Tony Baxter. Mm-hmm. And his first project, because he worked at Efteling, and he worked overseas for a while. And his first project was where he was, I think, lead on was Fantasy Fair in Disneyland, which is that area over by that like stage where people swing dance, and where Figaro the cat has a little animatronic outside, which I think that was a big hit. That was immediately a big hit.
Little.
And
Nice
Tony Baxter, I was listening because I remembered an old season pass where they asked Tony about the ride, and he goes, "Oh, I have faith in my mentee." Essentially, because I know he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure what I don't know if he still works for the company. I'm not sure what he's done or has been a lead on lately, but I like both of his things that I know he was in charge of. So, Michelle, thank you. God
Similar
bless.
placemaking for the Fantasy Fair and the queue.
Yeah. Yes.
Similar.
What a great
detail.
queue.
Yeah.
Great
Yeah.
queue.
Yeah.
Great
and
queue.
obviously, Efteling, that's a place I've not been, but I hear the theming is out of control. So, in a good way. So, kudos to this gentleman.
Maybe this is a good attraction to do the not always done plus it up, keep it or whatever it's called. Plus it up, keep it or burn it to the ground for insurance money. Maybe this is a thing to pose to Carlye. How do we what happens to this ride to make you more satisfied with it?
It's hard because when you look at it realistically, I wish they would have gotten a Guardian style attraction. Like I wish they would have gotten the brand new groundbreaking whatever instead of being shoehorned into a former track and ride. I think that they did a really good job with what they were given, because what they were given was not normal. It was not like a normal, just like, oh, you're just going to take over like a random Fantasyland ride. Like it truly, there's like boat switchbacks. So I think they did a great job with it, but I would say keep it, but give them another one. So like keep it, but like give them a new one, because this ride, I really don't know how you would plus it, because you would never spend the money to just put in new princess animatronics. Like that's just not worth it. And you can't put more Olaf. Like you could fix that hallway, but beyond that, like there's not much you can do to plus it beyond what it is. So like just give them a second plot of land and put in that thing you designed for Hong Kong.
Mm-hmm. Sure. That's a good call. That's a very good call. Like make this the Navi River journey to a TBD Flight of Passage. Basically.
Yes. To me, Frozen has proven itself at this point. It's a huge franchise. People love it. And I assume the kids who grew up on it so strongly still like it and still identify with it. So at this point, like if there's any new animated film that deserves another ride, I think they do.
Sure.
Yeah, big time. What do we do with the hallway? How do you fix the hallway? This is what now I want to crack it.
Just Christmas lights. Like honestly, if you just put in Christmas lights, I'd be thrilled. Thrilled.
A couple candles.
I mean, the icicle things at the beginning of the ride are so good. Even if you just ordered another shipment of those and just like shoved them in the ceiling. Like I think truly like anything that would make you feel like you're entering more of like a mossy space, just a transition. Anything.
You know what? When I also, in thinking about this room before this episode, one thing that I was like, I bet I'll have the upper hand here. I was going to go back into the Maelstrom and see, well, what was that room before? I bet it was kind of nothing before, too. So it's almost just exactly what the Maelstrom was. And then I watched the ride through the Maelstrom, and you know what was in that space? Was the weird, tall, upright polar bear, which is one of my... Now, you talk about our IP, great Epcot IP, the very stiff, like, perfect posture, bizarrely upright, begging for a treat polar bear. I don't know if other people are as fond of the weird, tall polar bear as me, but it was like mocking me in the ride through. Like, oh my God, this bizarre polar bear used to be in that spot where there's nothing. Well... I guess Carly's got me there.
Put him back.
Put them. Yes, it's got to be. It's back there somewhere, right?
Yeah.
It stresses me out in like such an existential way, because I feel like I can't praise the ride knowing that there's this one segment where they showed their hand. You know what I mean? It's like they shoved all of the time and effort on like the cool new robot, but then even something where you can immerse, like it just takes you out of the whole story, and you could just immerse me just truly by stringing lights.
Lights. Also, for me, like animate some crowd scenes, like the whole premise is that the whole kingdom is celebrating this event. And I think by the end, there's like 8 people around, you know? So it's a little, I guess you are the kingdom in theory, but how many people are in your boat, you know?
I think I missed the Summerfest thing entirely. I think that one went over my head when I went on it. I didn't realize that was the idea until recapping it.
It doesn't matter.
Just now.
It doesn't matter. It's just a nice trip with your friends. You know, that's really all. If my plus it would just be like, let the boat stop for 30 seconds and have Olaf, as I said on the episode about Fast and Furious, Olaf comes up to the boat and like talks to me for a couple seconds and like addresses me.
Hey, Michael.
I love.
Thanks for coming on my ride.
I love
and
that.
I would say, fix the faces. Maybe put the new heads on. Put the more advanced heads on the robots, and then crank the music up even louder. Like let's get it Vegas, douchey Vegas pool party club level bass going, because I want to really enjoy on a ride. I feel like on Rock and Roller Coaster, I want Aerosmith cranked up 5 more, like times 5 decibels. I feel like it used to be that. When I went on first when I was younger in the 90s, I feel like they really had cranked up Aerosmith. And I feel like now it's not loud enough.
How do you think the TikTok teens are going to feel about your love of Aerosmith?
Well, we'll see. The Aerosmith. I guess we'll do
Steven Tyler didn't know Liv Tyler was his daughter for years? That's kind of sus. Canceled, Mike.
The teens, I'm sure, will be interested in any Aerosmith content we put out. As I've said before, I think I've said it at least on Twitter. One of the first things I want to do post-vaccine is get in the pit at Aerosmith's Deuces Are Wild Las Vegas residency. So I am really counting on this vaccine. I will promise. I will spend the money. It's too much money. My one concern is that they have not been putting Jaded in the set lists that I've seen online, which is the best Aerosmith song by far. Scott and I, we have a lot of agreement, and I feel like Jaded and the Frozen Ride are both like 2 of the biggest agreements we have. So.
This is what unites us as friends. Yes, mainly it's all built on the back of the song Jaded. So get it in the set list, and let's get you know what, I'm in there with you. I'm jumping in the Deuces Wild pit, and I want Steven Tyler to cough on me. Yeah, that's when I'll know everything's better.
Yeah, that is when we'll know. So better robot heads, crank it, DJ, crank up this Frozen music, and I don't know, I'm good. I think that's all it really needs.
All right. Well, did we do it? I guess Carlye Wisel, you survived podcast The Ride. We survived another. We had another boat beef. We had a boat beef. We worked our way through it, and it's always fun. Do we have this diversion of opinions about any other?
Oh yeah,
any
we
other
had
boats.
Set up the next episode somehow.
Oh goodness, I'm not sure.
How do you what's here? Just like general yay or nay on Mexico boat ride.
I mean, it depends on if Donald's back or not, because I'm really starting to appreciate Plant with Sombrero.
You might be. That's maybe a fix for the hallways.
I mean, there's already like fan art. Like I'm kind of in on this new unexpected IP.
There's your Epcot. This is the hope for the future. This is an innovative Epcot IP for the 2020s.
Carlye, here's how you get back in the good graces on TikTok. You post a video of you pointing at that meme where the guy's holding hands with his girlfriend and she looks unhappy because he's looking at another lady. And the angry girlfriend is Donald's head. And then the other lady is the plant with a hat on it. And everyone will laugh. And they'll all like that. They'll all enjoy that 2-year-old meme. With
that is exactly how I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll really work.
Yeah. I can't think of any other. I mean, we've really exploited my extremely strong opinions on the previous episodes I've been on with Starbucks, with Living with the Land, things like that. But I mean, no, everything else I'm just pretty chill with.
What about River Journey, Navi River Journey?
Oh, yeah.
I think it's fine. I mean, I enjoy it when I go on it. I like some of the smaller detailed work they've done with like the shadowing on the like lily pads or leaves of character footprints. I think that's nice. I'm fine with it. I don't know what's going on, but I don't hate it the way some people do.
I don't know if any of us do either.
I love it.
I like it.
So maybe somebody's got a cramp. Maybe I have to say I hate it just to. I have to be the what's his name, Stephen Lang. I have to be the Stephen Lang of.
Yes.
I hate the Navi River journey. We're gonna blow it up from the base. We're gonna chase those blue bastards out of there.
Well, maybe we should. I would hope we could get a next episode when you're on. We could do like Gideon's Bakery or something.
But, God,
that's a dream. Maybe that's too big.
The
too
dream.
Ambitious. That's too ambitious, perhaps.
Oh,
but we'll find something.
With all the Disneyland funny business, it could very well play out that I get the vaccine and end up at Florida in the Gideon's line before I am able to get into Disneyland.
Absolutely, it's absolutely possible.
Yeah, sure. Well, what can
we demand that you do it at this point? I think you have to for content.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
I tentatively already have a trip planned because my family was supposed to go in November of 2020, and we just called that, I think, in April or May, and just pushed it a year. So we'll see.
Okay. Hopefully, you'll be in Florida. I'll be in the pit. I'll be in the pit in Vegas.
Yeah. Well, also, Jason, don't miss out. There's a hot cookie hour where for 1 hour a day, they serve you a hot-ass cookie with local ice cream.
Carly, I know all about the hot cookie hour.
Which hour is it?
I think it's 7 p.m.
Yeah.
Oh, it's late. It's late.
It's
hot cookie hour.
late. Even though one of their vibes is that, like, when we run out, we only make so much. When we're out, we're out.
Well,
boy.
But look, there's a lot of fun to be had when we're all vaccinated.
Yeah, boy, that's gonna be. Jason just tucks into bed. Just rent the literal closest hotel room you can to the ice cream and the cookie, and then just covers up, and that's that.
Wow.
I read the Disney Tourist Blog review of the Disney Springs Gideons, and I think they spent $70 to sample a bunch of stuff, and I was like, okay, yeah, I'm prepared for that. Yeah, that sounds right. For like few cookies, a few things of cake, and 2 coffees. I'm like, okay, yeah, all right, let's do that.
Jason's throwing. Well, you're also gonna have to pay for the flight, I guess, too. So it's gonna climb, but it'll all be worth it.
That's true, but these frequent flyer miles aren't doing anything right now.
I know. I'm amassing a lot of points because I'm not using them on anything.
And then you're going to Japan.
Please. So we have to exit through the gift shop and ask if there's anything you'd like to plug, because last time you were on, you did not have your own podcast, and now you have your own podcast. Tell our listeners about it.
Yes, surprise. I now do this, I hope, with more eloquence than me screaming about a hallway in a work setting. It's called Very Amusing with Carlye Wisel, who is me. If you made it this far without knowing that, that's cool. It is reported theme park stories for the most part, so it's really like diving into the type of things that fans are very interested in, that usually like we laugh about on Twitter for 2 days and then it goes away. Things like when all those weird Star Wars sodas wound up in a random grocery store. I tried to track them all the way back. Just like random fun things that are very fan focused. So we wrapped season 1 at the end of the year, and now I'm taking a cool few weeks off, and then I'm back at it.
It is fantastic. Yes. Well, yeah. Check it out. I've checked it out. It's great. And as for us, you can find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. If you ever end up finding us on TikTok, let me reiterate that content will be scot-free. That is the new luxury brand within Podcast The Ride, where I had nothing to do with it. Mm-hmm. So if you see some seat posting, that's the deal. And as for if you want 3 bonus episodes every month, you can check out Podcast The Ride, the second gate, at patreon.com/podcast the ride, which is Scott's there for as of now.
Mm-hmm. Anything could change.
Yes. Yeah. So I guess what's a frozen-y way to end it? Hey, as you walk through that unthemed black hallway of life backwards,
it's like a Twin Peaks ending.
Yeah.
So Frozen-y. Just Scott, maybe just say something to your followers. Just say to the Essenons. Just say goodbye to them, maybe in your special way. Maybe.
The storm is coming to Arendelle, and it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be very emotional. You're gonna be singing "Let It Go." It's gonna be the most fun storm you've ever had. That's my S drop. And in general, this has been a PTR drop. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Forever Dog.
This has been a Forever Dog production. Executive produced by Mike Carlson, Jason Sheridan, Scott Gairdner, Brett Boehm, Joe Cilio, and Alex Ramsey. For more original podcasts, please visit foreverdogpodcasts.com and subscribe to our shows on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Keep up with the latest Forever Dog news by following us on Twitter and Instagram @ForeverDogTeam and liking our page on Facebook.